Hello everybody, Shocklands 1000 point for Tuesday. Welcome you back to more Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. In the last episode, I showed you how to purify Shadow Lugia. I've also had some trainers continue to be annoying in the Ore Coliseum. And I just decided, you know what? I give up. The Ore Coliseum is nothing but a troll. Because I can't even get past the third round because some jackass decides to give me a status condition and I can't fight through it. I even trained on my Pokemon too, but it actually proves that doesn't make much of a difference. So this time, I've got no other option but to go to Mount Battle and hopefully do as much as I can in Area 10. And as I'm doing that, there's actually a lot of interesting battles that you actually go through, and yeah, I do indeed seriously want to go through the post-game from start to finish to show you exactly what it is you need to do. Well, the fact is, you need to beat the Ore Coliseum at least one time to carry on with it, but because I can't do it, there's just no point. But what it happened, I'm just going to mention in full detail what happens. You beat the Ore Coliseum for the very first time, and then once you've done that, you'll receive an urgent email from Bella in Argate Village telling you that something has happened involving some Pokemon not being able to speak. You visit and you find out what the cause is. Then you go to Kamiko's house and tell him the whole case scenario. And he gives you some voice capsules to give to these Pokemon. The very first voice capsule you need to use will be so basically there's these Pokemon you gotta help. You gotta help a Combuskin, followed by Poochyena, then Tailo, then Wobbuffet. But Wobbuffet doesn't actually work. So what you do is, once you enter Kamiko's house, you then get told about Shroomish not being able to speak. So you then probably help sort that Pokemon out. And then in the end, you get told of what to do for the Wobbuffet. And this is what you have to do. You have to answer 3 trivia questions, where one of them, Oddish in Sailor's house. Question, what stone evolves this Pokemon into a beautiful Pokemon like Bellossom? That would be the Sunstone. Number 2, Magnemite. What does this Pokemon evolve into? Magneton. And number 3, there were 3 and 4. There were 2 Krabbies that you saw me talk to at the end of one of the episodes. They are, what is this Pokemon's name? Taru on the left, Hanoku on the right. That's all the Pokemon you need to save of losing their voice in Gation Port. Then, Fenax City, you gotta do the exact same thing again with the cast form of the running athlete. What kind of Pokemon is this? The weather Pokemon. Then a Shumaril in the Pokemon Center. What is the Pokemon's pre-evolved form? Marill. Then number 3, Linoon in the top right corner. Which of this Pokemon's cry do you hear in the game? And it gives you 2 clips. You pick the second one. And finally Seedot in front of Fenax Stadium. What is this Pokemon? Just answer the Pokemon's name. And then once you've done that, you go back to Argate Village, you go to Bilbo's Wobbuffet, and notice that a decoding machine that you get given to actually help the Wobbuffet still doesn't help. So you go to the Lotad in the far right of the village. There shouldn't be quizzes on this one, so Lotad will gradually learn its cry again. After playing around with the machine, Wobbuffet will be the only one left. Head back to Kimiko's house. It will tell you that the third and final way to restore the Pokemon's cry is to have a trainer who shares a close bond with it to mimic its cry. You then talk to that trainer, and once you've done that, Wobbuffet will eventually speak to you again, and after doing all of that hassle, you'll get given the held item of the Lucky Egg. And for those who are concerned of what the Lucky Egg actually does, is it actually doubles the amount of experience you'll earn in a battle. That's it. Okay? Now, onto the Ore Coliseum. Every 4th round, you'll get given a special trainer to fight against. And I'm going to mention each and every one of them with their Pokemon between levels 60 to 100 and what they are used for. If you beat the Ore Coliseum for the very first time, during that first time, you'll be given the battle against Cypher Admin Lovrina. Yeah, all the Cypher Admins in the Ore Coliseum all the Cypher Admins in the game, after beating them, they will disappear to then show up in the Ore Coliseum. And wow, I actually managed to freeze both Kingdra and Ludicolo. But yeah, that's the case. Okay? So, when you battle Lovrina, you'll actually choose between 4 Pokemon. Obviously, all of them will. But I'm going to mention all 6 of them. She'll have either Shuckle, Bug, Rock type, sturdy for the ability, holding onto a Chesto Berry with Wrap, Toxic, Attract, and Rest. Milotic, a Water type, Marvel Scale for the ability, holding onto a Laxin Sense with Wrap, Toxic, Attract, and Confuse Ray. Wobbuffet, Psychic type, Shadow Tag for the ability, holding onto a Lumberry with Counter, Miracle, Charm, and Encore. Then Blissey, normal type, Searing Grace for the ability, holding on to the leftovers with the moves Counter, Seismic Toss, Sing, and Attract. And then eventually you'll be given the option of battling Misdreavus, Ghost type, Levitate for the ability, holding on to a Quick Claw with Confuse Ray, Torment, Protect, and Attract. I don't think she'll most likely use that Pokemon, to be honest. And finally, Meganium, Grass type, Overgrowth for the ability, holding onto the Bright Powder with Leech Seed, Toxic, Attract, and Protect. Again, I'm not sure she'll be using that Pokemon a lot. After beating her, you then have the option to battle the Ore Coliseum again, which I don't think you probably would do. But if you get all the way to the very end... Oh, sorry, actually no. When you beat Lovrina, you'll be given the title Lovrina Fan Club Member 1 and also the TM for Toxic. For the second one, you'll battle Snaddle, and he'll be using Electrode, Electric type, Soundproof for the ability, holding onto the Lychee Berry with the moves Thunderbolt, Light Screen, Endure, and Explosion. Second Pokemon, Gengar, Ghost Poison type, Levitate for the ability, holding onto the Scope Lens with the moves Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Protect, and Explosion. Then, next Pokemon, you'll have Muck, Poison type, Sticky Hold for the ability, holding onto the Quick Claw, with the moves Substitute, Imprison, Protect, and Explosion. Then Glalie, Ice type, Inner Focus for the ability, with Salak Berry as his held item, with the moves Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, Endure, and Explosion. Yeah, this guy also uses an entire team of exploding Pokemon. But the last 2 Pokemon, Regirock, Rock type, Clear Body for the ability, holding onto the Laxin Sense, Ancient Power, Earthquake, Protect, and Explosion. And finally, Regice, Ice type, Clear Body for the ability, holding onto the leftovers with Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Protect, and Explosion. Whoop, frick. Yeah, not paying too close attention to that then. When you beat him, you'll be given Ore Governor's Secretary Candidate and also the TM for Return. For the third one, you'll be obviously battling Goigon. You'll have Salamence, Dragon Flying type, Intimidate for the ability, holding onto the Bright Powder with the moves Hydro Pump, Flamethrower, Dragon Claw, and Crunch. Bramble, Normal type, Intimidate for the ability, holding onto the Quick Claw with Return, Brick Break, Shadow Ball, and Hyper Beam. Then Arcanine, Fire type, Intimidate for the ability, holding onto the White Herb with Extreme Speed, Crunch, Protect, and Overheat. Then Tauros, Normal type, Intimidate for the ability, holding onto a Chesto Berry with Return, Earthquake, Rest, and Hyper Beam. Then Hitmontop, Fighting type, Intimidate for the ability, holding onto the Leftovers, which I don't even understand why, with the moves Body Slam, Brick Break, Earthquake, and Detect. And finally, Gyarados, Water Flying type, Intimidate for the ability, holding onto the Lumberry with the moves Double Edge, Icy Wind, Earthquake, and Thunder Wave. When you've beaten him, you'll be given the Hexagonal Bolt of Friendship Holder and the TM for Skill Swap. And I'm just like gonna be coy about this. I am going to be mentioning the rest of them, but the fourth one you actually battle will be Chobin, fifth one will be Gonsap, sixth one will be Ardos, and seventh one will be Eldis. When you've beaten Chobin, you'll be given the title Defeater of Chobin and the TM for Sludge Bomb. When you beat Gonsap, you'll be given Honorary Team Snag'em Member and the TM for Rest. When you've beaten Ardos, you'll be given the title Cypher's Biggest Enemy, because he's still a bit coy about you, to be honest. When you've beaten him, he'll give you the TM for Steel Wing. And finally, Eldis, where you'll get given the title Eldis's Top Rival, and you'll be given the TM for Dragon Claw. Now onto the actual Pokemon that they use. In case you're wondering with Chobin, Chobin sits in Robo Groudon, and he always starts off with 2 Pokemon, I believe. Does it say? It doesn't say the same thing for Goigon. Doesn't say the same thing. Okay, so yeah, this is actually where they start having certain Pokemon trainers to use certain things. He will always start off with a Ninjask and a Mr. Mime. Ninjask will be a Bug Flying type, Speed Boost for the ability, holding on to the White Herb with the moves Swords Dance, Baton Pass, Protect, and Silver Wind. And Mr. Mime, Psychic type, Soundproof for the ability, holding on to a Lumberry with the moves Fake Out, Psychic, Baton Pass, and Psych Up. For the other members he has, Scizor, Bug Steel type, Swarm for the ability, holding onto a Laxin Sense with Silver Wind, Aerial Ace, Return, and Steel Wing. Dragonite, Dragon Flying type, Inner Focus for the ability, holding onto the Leftovers with Aerial Ace, Brick Break, Earthquake, and Return. Marowak, Ground type, Rockhead for the ability, holding onto a Thick Club with Ancient Power, Double Edge, Aerial Ace, and Earthquake. And finally, Kangaskhan, Normal type, Early Bird for the ability, holding onto a Scope Lens with Return, Earthquake, Shadow Ball, and Protect. Next up for round 5, you'll be battling nothing but Team Snag'em Grunts, until you eventually go to Gonsap. His team's actually kind of interesting, to be honest. He uses Blastoise, Water type, Taunt for the ability, holding onto the Leftovers, with the moves Hydro Cannon, Ice Beam, Yawn, and Roar. Then Slarking, Normal type, Truant for the ability, holding onto a Choice Band, with the moves Earthquake, Shadow Ball, and Hyper Beam. It might have a 4th move, but I don't know to be the case. Third Pokemon, Skarmory, Steel Flying type, Keen Eye for the ability, holding onto a Laxin Sense, with the moves Drill Peck, Attract, Roar, and Sand Attack. Then his 4th Pokemon, Salamence, Dragon Flying type, Intimidate for the ability, holding onto a Scope Lens, with the moves Aerial Ace, Brick Break, Earthquake, and Hyper Beam. Fifth member be Charizard, Fire Flying type, Blaze for the ability, holding onto the Bright Powder with the moves Blast Burn, Dragon Claw, Bite and Roar. And finally, Venusaur, Grass Poison type, Overgrowth for the ability, holding onto a Lumberry with the moves Frenzy Plant, Light Screen, Sleep Powder and Roar. So I think it's kind of fair to say what his team is a whole case scenario of. Okay, now for the sixth one of Ardos. He will be using the Pokemon of Sceptile, Grass type, Overgrowth for the ability, holding onto the Scope Lens with the moves Leaf Blade, Dragon Claw, Thunder Punch and Crunch. Second Pokemon, Charizard, Fire Flying type, Blaze for the ability, holding onto the Bright Powder with the moves Fire Blast, Dragon Claw, Seismic Toss and Bite. Then Gengar, Ghost Poison type, Levitate for the ability, holding onto a Lax Incense with the moves Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Confuse Ray and Brick Break. Then Aerodactyl, Rock Flying type, Rocket for the ability, holding onto a King's Rock with the moves Ancient Power, Aerial Ace, Iron Tail and Double Edge. Fifth member will be Tauros, Normal type, Intimidate for the ability, holding onto a Choice Band. Only attacking moves as far as is recorded is Return, Earthquake and Iron Tail. And finally, Starmie, Water Psychic type, Natural Cure for the ability, holding onto a Lumberry with the moves Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Psychic and Hydro Pump. And now finally, Eldis. Eldis' team is no pushover, I can tell you that much. That's why he's the last one to battle. He'll have Latios and Latias, both Dragon Psychic type, Levitate for the ability. Latios is holding onto the Bright Powder, whereas Latias is holding onto the Scope Lens. They both carry Thunderbolt, Dragon Claw and Psychic, but Latios also carries Ice Beam, whereas Latias carries Waterfall. His third Pokemon, Gengar, Ghost Poison type, Levitate for the ability, holding onto a Lax Incense with the moves Thunderbolt, Psychic, Fire Punch and Ice Punch. His fourth member, Metagross, Steel Psychic type, Clear Body for the ability, holding onto the Quick Claw with the moves Shadow Ball, Meteor Mash, Earthquake and Protect. Fifth member, Snorlax, Normal type, Thick Fat for the ability, holding onto the Leftovers with the moves Body Slam, Shadow Ball, Earthquake and Protect. And finally, Tauros. I don't need to go over this Tauros because it's the exact same Tauros that Ardos uses. Intimidate for the ability, Normal type, Choice Band is the held item, and carries the moves of Return, Earthquake, and Iron Tail. That's it. Okay? So that's basically all I can say if you actually want to decide to go over the entire Ore Coliseum, but I do not. I really do not. And I was obviously hoping to try and beat Area 10 to show that it's completely and utterly pointless to actually try and beat this area, but of course it's completely and utterly irrelevant. But yeah, you kind of get the whole gist. Okay? So, obviously we didn't exactly do much in this episode. I just wanted to explain how the Ore Coliseum works with the important battles. So, I'm going to call it an end to this episode. Next time on Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, we are going, once again, to City Dark Isle to have a return of Master Greevil. See you guys then.